This is a vacuum plaque jig that I've made. This one will allow me to take a 5 by 7 inch piece of plaque material, and we're using quite a bit of these for our regattas and our Ranger Derby races and things like that. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna make a vacuum jig to hold this thing up and do the trick. Basically, this is the outside of your plaque. These are alignment pins, and they bore in 3/8 of an inch. This hole right here bores in 3/8 of an inch, and that hole right there bores in 3/8 of an inch, and the rest of these, of course, do that. So if you look at your gasket, or this is where the gasket is that goes around the jig. Put in your rubber gasket, and I'm going down point 0.14 as far as the depth, and I'm using a 1/4 inch hose. I'm using a 1/4 inch ball nose to do that with, and I'm passing 3 different passes on it. And then the vacuum center, this is just simply a pocket tool path, and I put a center in here so that it will pocket out between here and there, and it'll leave the center at the same surface as that. That gives me 2 things: that supports any material there in the center, and it also gives me a point of origin, always right there in the very center is where the jig sets up at. So and that's just going down 0.1 inches in depth, and I'm using a 3/4 inch end mill to get that one opened up. And then we move on to the vacuum hole, which is that one. Of course, it's all lit up, showing you the 3/8 inch deep that they're doing, and I'm using a 1/8 inch end mill on that, and we're cutting in 3/8 of an inch, and I'm doing that in 3 passes, cutting on it. So there's that. And then the mounting holes are these 2 right here, and they go all the way through the material, and 3/4 of an inch. So that's what those do. That's pretty much all of the. I could, of course, do some fancy stuff on the edges or do anything, but whenever this thing runs, it does a pretty good job of doing its job. So let's just preview all the tool paths, let it do its thing. There we are, flattening it, and then there's your other holes and your other like that. The groove on this thing and this right here, they don't look all that deep, but they're just a tad deeper because I use the flattening board to get that on that and do its thing there. So let's see here. Anyway, that's the settings for that, and it works good. I resurfaced 7 old plaques that had been carved, and we got washed out on the regatta, and I was able to put the locating pins on there, and I made them just a little bit wider than the project. I can stick a lollipop stick or whatever in there, or tape on a piece of something because sometimes I'll get stuff that they'll be a little bit wider or a little bit narrower, so it all depends. But anyway, that they fit on there real well, and that should work just fine. All right, well, the filter's working good. My coupler, it's not as good as it was when I first put it in there. It was tight. I don't know if it's just the plastic. I may have to print with a a nylon plastic, something a little tougher than this cheap PLA. But anyway, it came off of there, and the threads just, I don't know, the heat. I mean, it's warm, that's for sure. So maybe the heat has caused it to do that. I wrapped it with some Teflon tape and put some little bit of pipe dope on it to make up the gap. We'll see what it does. I might have to print that with some nylon so it'll be a little hotter. Anyway, it's trial and error, and just like my compressor up there on the wall, no sense in having it sitting right there next to me where I can hear it. And
So we'll just have to see what we can do with it. And I have cords that lay on the ground, so a little 1/4 inch nylon air line's not going to really bother me too much. I'll just have to, you know, if I get to using a lot, I'll bring it in over top and let it dangle like something like that, so I can pull it off of the ceiling and come down. So anyway, there you go. All right, well, I'm trying to create a vacuum for the CNC machine, and so I got some of this siding board that Lowe's sells. It's a PVC vinyl siding. It's it's for like trim boards and stuff. It's all PVC made of. There's no wood or anything in it. And anyway, so I thought I could use my vacuum jig to hold that down. Well, I could, but I don't know where I'm drilling all my holes just yet. So I don't want to drill in my plaque. So I'm going to do the one-time thing, and I just put some screws and clamps and a couple cams into my table. My table is, this is my wasteboard, and these are my jig tables. So I can put screws down into it, and it works good. And the whole reason for the jig is to do multiple. So I'm going to be making some plaques for too long. So I thought, well, I might as well get this going. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm going to flatten this, get this grain out of there and flatten it, and I'll get back to you in a minute. All right, the flattening came out good. Now we're going to pocket the inside of this and get it down. So it's going to go in and pocket the very inside of the vacuum area. I really don't know what I'm doing. This is the first one I made. Taking it down, pocketing it down. Milled the gasket slot with the ball nose, 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to put the 1/8 end mill in and do the holes in the pockets. Cutting them out now. And that worked out fine. Now I'm milling the vacuum hole and the 8 locating pins. On the outside of the plaque. Never done this, but pins the other day. And they're 1/4 inch, and I was like this size with the hair. See what how they fit. Deputy. That's it. But if I didn't have this closure, I'd have this PVC dust all over my shop. And as it is now, it's all inside the box. Okay. That's what she turned out like. Porch 9 1/4 by 7 1/4. The plaque sizes are 5 by 7. The gasket is just inside that. I'm going to check that out. And then And there's my pinhole I need to drill in from there on the drill press. And other than checking it out, there's my locating pin holes and there's my mounting holes. We'll find out how this sticks here in just a minute. See how she holds up. And there we go. All right, I'm getting ready to surface some of these plaques, and this is the first time I've used this vacuum fixture. I just made it this morning, and I don't know a whole lot about it other than this is what's in my mind. These are locating pins, and I could probably put some dowels, little bitty half-inch dowels in there, little short ones, or come up with some little short pins. But I found them at the hobby store, and they're just a 1/4 inch piece. They stand up pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this thing up. Okay. And then these are plaques that we had at our Carver Boat Regatta, and we had a total wash of the rain, so we never got to complete and give these out. So I made my pins just a hair bigger than the other ones, and that would basically just have to do with that. But those are made for locating it, and then I just turn that thing off with the remote. Turn that thing off. My pump's over there in the wall right down there behind the bandsaw, and I've got a 1/4 inch line coming up, so I'm going to put a little extension on there so my valve's not inside there, because it gets really dusty. Okay, I've got it in there. Put the cord out here, put the vacuum pump right out here so I can see it, keep it out of the dust area. Just need to turn on my vacuum. It's on this remote. Turn on my remote there. So this remote, I got the shop vac and the main shop vac, and then the vacuum pump on there. So this thing's ready to go. You run this program called flattening the board, and see what happens. Okay, I recycled that just fine, and there's still usable material in there to carve it down. That one was carved a little bit deep on the text, so I'll put that down here in my next usables down in there, and then I go for the next one. I'll carve it right down in there, and let me position it and see what we get. All right. Well, I made a little jig to hold this, and the thing is just unscrew and pick them out if I need to. I can look in there and see what the filter's got. It's already got some particles in it. It's on about 20 inches of mercury on the scale now, and it's over there cleaning up about my head. That's right. And I'm having to go back and put another pass on it. That's about what I'm doing. I'll just skin it back down and get it one more time. Those are really RC on that tag. I didn't like it on the cruise, so I couldn't change them. But anyway, I made them just about an 8 on the cruise, and there I was, sitting there where I couldn't fix it. So anyway, the brass worked out, so I recycled like 6 or 7 trophies. It's all by the way, but well, I will say that's making finding those boards a lot faster. I'm not even using locating pins. I kind of know where they're going to hit, and close enough. I could also probably burn an outline on that laser. lined up the blades or hit the vacuum on it. And I'm doing the flattening, it didn't really care, it doesn't really matter. I'm that perfect about it. So got it up there and ready to go. So that saves me time right there. And now when I'm taking a pretty good cut off the bed, I'm an eighth full.